Hey, Lordo suggesting only moments ago that the Giants 1 foot out the door of the top four and the Bulldogs banging on it loudly. Tell us why.
Yeah, I love what they did and I love what they are doing. They've changed a few things around. Riley West only had about 5 or 6 touches but was very influential. And what I loved about this, these are all footy actions. So Aaron Norton protected the drop for Harms, kicked the goal. Then Tim English used the right disposal at half back to get the ball moving. And they were just off stoppage running. Rory Lobb went forward. Everything that Luke Beveridge did last night worked. Doesn't always happen for a coach that way, but the players stood up.
It was amazing. And not only that, there was their midfield depth that I think we've all known that they've had for a long period of time, but we look at the names in there. You've got Bont, who's back in ripping form. Lib has been outstanding all year. Richards is amazing. Freijah is just an absolute star. Kennedy, Sanders goes forward. We spoke about West just before, being a mid-forward. You've got Harms and Davidson you can throw through the wing. These guys have so much flexibility, not only with their mids, but with the rest of their side as well.
Hey, Rory, they won the clearances by 22 and they scored 5 goals plus through clearance and stoppage as well. And we want to take a look at a few. So this is within 80 seconds of the game. There's Liberatore, Bontempelli and Kennedy. And this is the work rate they had and how they ran the Giants off their feet. So you see those players, those 3 I just touched on, Liberatore, Kennedy and Bontempelli, and their work rates overwhelmed the GWS Giants. So here's the first one, Kennedy involved. There's Liberatore, back out to Bontempelli. He's clean, over the top to Kennedy, who kicks a goal. So that's where they're really strong at the moment. They're good on the inside, good on the outside. Here's a centre clearance. So I love their structure. So they win the inside. 3 Giants gravitate to Bontempelli. Richards always owns the outside. So they don't know who to tag at the moment. Do we go to Richards? Do we go to Bontempelli because they're so strong? Then they panic because of the entries that were coming in nice and deep. Harms, Toby Green, not good enough. So they just sat off again. You got the outside, inside to the outside goal. And it just got stronger and stronger as the game went on. And this one is Riley West even went in there. So he goes in there as a midfielder. And I knew they were broken when you just saw a player that could just stream through. You watch him, he's still tracking him all the way through the centre of the ground. They wanted it more. They worked harder. Full credit to them and what they're doing. And you'll see this one just pop over the top to Riley West. That was a midfield masterclass last night from the Western Bulldogs.
When you pose that question, who you would go to, answer it for them.
Well, last night I'd go to Richards first, but then within game you may have to hand over to Bontempelli. But I think Richards
at
is
the centre
as destructive as anyone going around. Yeah.
Guys, I want your take on this, all right? Because like Valerie the sausage dog down on Kangaroo Island, a few other dogs have gone missing and they will be found, but some have obviously left the club. I know, Damo, it was the most tenuous segue you would ever want to come across. But some have gone, but some are coming back. That is a list of stars, isn't it, to have out of your team?
That is a very good list of players.
Yeah. It's a very good list, but it comes down to coaching. I think you've seen complete ownership from Luke Beveridge to go, there's no excuses here at all, no matter who we have missing and where they're missing from. We've got players that can fill a position and he's playing to their players' strengths at the moment, which is what good coaches need to do.
And your man's coaching well, Damo.
Brownie, I would argue that he's in the
career
form of his life.
Yeah.
And that's inclusive of 2 grand final seasons, one being a win in 16 and another one in 2021. And to Rory's point, the way he's shuffling not just the midfield, but it's the key position players. The man you can see on screen there, Rory Lobb, still being used at either end of the ground. Baku Kamas. You mentioned those absences. I mean, Jamari Ugle-Hagan not being available at all. Bontempelli missing the first 5 matches of the year. I think the courage, Brownie, in the selection or the non-selection of Liam Jones on the weekend, that in itself sends a statement through the entire club.
Making
and the way he
more
explained it to them.
than he
Where's
ever
it
has.
at then? What's behind this? Because
it's
you
working.
think they'd want to sign him in a heartbeat. Because you know, outside of Luke Beveridge, you're signing up a youngish coach. I know there's a few out there who have just finished in Longmire and Adam Simpson, but we've seen in recent years it's been Adam Uze, McQualter. So why wouldn't the Bulldogs, would they be trying to put a 3-year deal in front of him?
I just think they're so intent, Lloydie, to let it play out. And I think there's a power in that. I mean, if you go back to 2023 when Port Adelaide left Ken Hinkley out of contract, and that worked, I think, quite powerfully as well. That was the year he was recontracted.
But is this more what Beveridge wants, though?
It is.
But
it is.
Has he got ideas of doing something else?
Well, you only take him what he says publicly, and he says no. But he wants to obviously, I think, be convinced himself. But I don't think there's anyone who thinks the passion, the drive's not there. And to your point, the moment you remove someone who you know can coach, you're in the unknown then.
Yeah.
And the unknown right now with his future is working powerfully.
So has he actually categorically said, no, I'm not interested in coaching anywhere else? Because he hasn't categorically said, yes, I want to coach the Bulldogs again.
Yeah, he did make public comment, TJ, about the Simon Goodwin links with Melbourne that Caroline Wilson went with a couple of weeks ago, and he completely shot that down.
Melbourne specifically.
Melbourne specifically, yeah. I mean, I have been saying that there's a connection there with Simon Garlick, the CEO of Fremantle, but while Justin Longmuir was winning matches, as he did in round 7, that's not real, and that's not an offer yet, but there's a connection there. Like, he's going to be in demand, that's clear, and on the back of the 7 matches he's played this year, 4 wins, 3 losses, he's right at the peak of his powers.
And of course, Tassie will come into the equation too when we talk about coaches, won't it?
And that may be the backdrop to the whole thing. Yeah.
Damo, there were more problems.
Yeah, there were, and I want to get Brownie's opinion on this because I think he's got a view on this which may shape how the match review office looks at this Tom Green hit or contact with Joel Freijah. Brownie?
Yeah, I blame Joel Freijah here. Now, you don't want anybody to get hurt, but that is an awful way to approach football. So you're already crouching down, you're already almost on your knees, and you're leaping forward at a football. So I know we've got the onus on the player and a duty of care, but I feel like Joel Freijah's got a duty of care to himself and the other player there who's coming in, Tom Green, and he's done the right thing. I feel like the problem started with Freijah, and I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Green goes for it. Nothing surprises me in this day and age, but I don't think he should go. But it was more really poor technique from Joel Freijah.
Did Green ever take his eye off the ball, though?
No, didn't take his eye off the ball.
Green
Used his body, used his hip.
I'm with you. Green can't get cited for that. He's had perfect technique there. And Freijah, he'd be dirty at himself because you're taught as a young kid to keep your feet and protect the footy. And that's exactly what Tom Green tried to do.
OK, so overall, right, we're all up and about the Giants, a couple of weeks ago, and for good reason. Lordo, half writing them off, but with a bit of a get-out clause. Where does everyone else see them?
I think they've been inconsistent since that unbelievable win in round 1 where they smashed Collingwood, but they haven't shown a lot, and I just think at times that they're lacking connection as a group. You've got all these star names, but they don't often work for each other like they should. And then in attack, Jake Stringer's not working for them, so they haven't quite got that forward mix right if Jesse Hogan doesn't fire.
And only managed 4 goals against the Crows last week. But you now, I think, add that game to what happened last night with their lack of potency up forward.
Well, I was going to say, more for me, it's around their contest. Their hardness, their toughness and their pressure is normally what makes them such a good footy team, and I want to see them get back to that level where you're like, there's that giant tsunami. They're in everyone's face. They're playing with that aggressive nature, and I haven't seen that for a couple of weeks.